Have you ever really thought about it? That exact moment your brain looked into a mirror and it just clicked. The person staring back wasn't a stranger anymore. It was you. It's a huge leap in consciousness, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
You know the scene, right? You've probably seen it a million times. A little baby sits in front of a mirror and they are just fascinated. But to them, that reflection isn't them. It's a brand new friend. They'll reach out, they'll touch the glass, they'll smile and babble at this other baby. Sometimes they'll even peek behind the mirror, totally convinced they're going to find this mysterious new person hiding back there.
But then, at some point, that stranger just vanishes. And in its place is, well, you. So how does the brain pull off that incredible trick? When does that baby in the mirror suddenly become me? That's the big question we're tackling today.
Right, so this journey from seeing a friend to recognizing yourself, it's not just some cute thing babies do. It's actually a monumental leap for the brain. It's the moment our mind starts to build the very foundation of an identity. And this brings us to the big idea here, the mirror self-recognition theory. Basically, the theory says that being able to recognize your own reflection is a massive clue that you're self-aware. It's not just about seeing a picture. It's about your brain creating a mental blueprint of itself and finally understanding the difference between me and, well, not me.
Then, all of a sudden, the breakthrough happens. A baby might see a little bit of food on the reflection's cheek, but this time, instead of touching the cold, hard mirror, they reach up and touch their own cheek. That one simple move is, cognitively speaking, revolutionary. It means they've crossed this invisible psychological bridge. They get it. The image is just a reflection of their own body. This exact moment was so fascinating to scientists that they came up with a really clever, really simple experiment to test it. It's famously known as the Mark test. So the test itself is beautiful in its simplicity. Here's how it works. First, an experimenter sneakily puts a little odorless mark, like a dab of paint or something, on the subject's forehead when they're not really paying attention. Then you just put them in front of a mirror. The last step, you just sit back and watch what they do next. So there are two possible outcomes. If the subject reaches out and touches the mirror, they're basically saying, hey, look, that other guy has something on his face. That's a fail. But, and this is the key, if they reach up and touch their own forehead, it shows this incredible realization. That reflection is me, which means I have a mark on my face. And boom, they pass. Now, passing this test gets you into a very, very exclusive and honestly kind of surprising group of animals. And what's so interesting is that it's not just about being smart or having a big brain. The members of this club might not be who you think. Okay, so obviously humans pass, usually somewhere between 18 and 24 months old. And yeah, as you'd probably guess, our closest cousins, the great apes, are in the club too. So are dolphins and elephants, super smart social animals. But here's where it gets really wild. Also on the list, magpies. Yep, the bird. And some studies are even pointing to manta rays. And that right there is the big puzzle. How can a magpie, with its little bird brain, pass the test, while incredibly smart animals like dogs almost always fail? It really suggests that self-awareness isn't just one simple on or off switch, and how you look for it matters a whole lot. So, you see, passing the test is way more than just a neat party trick. It actually points to a much deeper, much more complex inner world. It's a sign that an animal's mind is capable of some seriously sophisticated stuff. Passing this test hints at a whole bunch of advanced mental skills. It implies a concept of self, that basic feeling that you have a body that takes up space. It suggests metacognition, which is basically thinking about your own thoughts. And maybe the biggest one, it requires perspective taking, the ability to see yourself from the outside. Think about it. That's the spark that lights the fire for complex social emotions. You can't feel proud of how you look or embarrassed when you trip if you don't first realize that there is a you for other people to see. You could almost see that this moment of self-recognition creates two versions of you in your mind. All of a sudden, you have the experiencing self. That's the part of you just living in the moment. And then you have the observed self, the one you can step back and think about. That little internal conversation is a hallmark of the human mind. Now, it's so important to be clear about this. Failing the mirror test does not mean an animal is dumb or has zero self-awareness. Not at all. Take dogs, for instance. They fail the visual test, right? But other studies show they have incredible smell-based self-recognition. They can easily tell the difference between their own scent and the scent of other dogs. And all of this brings us to the really big picture. The MARC test is an incredible scientific tool, but it's not the final word on consciousness. Like any great idea in science, it's surrounded by all these fascinating debates and questions about what it really truly means to have a self.
So yeah, people rightly point out that the test is super biased toward vision. It also doesn't really account for cultural differences. Some kids pass later than others based on how they're raised. And let's be real, just because a magpie passes the test doesn't mean it has the same complex inner life as a person. It's a starting point, not the whole story of consciousness.
At the end of the day, the mirror test is just such a powerful metaphor. As this quote puts it so perfectly, the mirror isn't just a piece of glass. It represents that moment we first step outside ourselves and see our own existence. It's the doorway to developing ideas like pride and shame and identity. It teaches us that we are a me.
And that really brings us to the final, essential question, doesn't it? The science gives us the framework and the theory, but it all points back to this really personal, quiet thing that happened inside your own mind a long, long time ago. The moment you looked at a reflection, and for the very first time you knew, without a single doubt, that it was looking right back at you.